Alright, we have an ominous green light today, which means we watched the newest M. Night Shyamalan movie. Today we watched Trap, an M. Night Shyamalan movie. So Aiden, what was the plot of M. Night Shyamalan's Trap?
Trap follows a serial killer named The Butcher, who has taken his daughter to a concert only to find out that the FBI is aware of his presence and is searching through the whole concert in order to find him. The concert is of course headlined by M. Night Shyamalan's real-life daughter, who is a pop singer and moderately successful one at that. She's a good singer, not a good actor. And wacky shenanigans ensue in this 2-hour special episode of Criminal Minds. Connor, what'd you think of Trap?
Trap is not really a horror movie.
No.
You don't really see anyone die. There isn't really much of like a mystery. You know who the killer is. There really isn't much of a twist in this movie either. There's like kind of, sort of, but like if it wasn't M. Night Shyamalan and I wasn't looking for the twist, I wouldn't consider this an M. Night movie with a twist, which is shocking because boy does M. Night love his twists. Even adaptions like Knock at the Cabin, which we gave fairly good reviews, were pretty, had the little twist at the end of the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse and all that. This movie, pretty straightforward thriller garb.
Yep.
A guy who I thought looked like Karl Urban from Star Trek reprises his role. Karl Urban reprises his role as the Butcher, and the audience pretty quickly knows who the Butcher is, as the audience is basically told, and all the FBI presence and whatnot. They're searching for him. In the trailers, it looked like kind of a horror movie, like maybe the Butcher was trapping people and killing them in this concert. That's not the case. He's just a dude who lives two lives. He's a normal suburban dad who takes his daughter to ostensibly like a pop star concert, like you'd see with like Taylor Swift or Billie Eilish or whoever, with all the little girls excited and whatnot.
Yep.
And he's having a normal afternoon concert outing with his daughter. And it's just kind of an interesting thriller of this man trying to get away. And it eventually escalates to him basically befriending the pop star until the pop star figures out who he is, and the whole conspiracy starts to unravel. His second identity falls apart. They have this concert locked down too well, which to me seems kind of unrealistic. Like, I don't think you could really, like, with safety precautions and shit put in place, like lock down a concert the way they did.
And start screening every single person, like pulling people out of the audience.
Yeah. And it also got to the point where the most rational thing for not Karl Urban to do, reprising his role as not the Butcher from The Boys, was to befriend the pop star by pretending his daughter has leukemia, and then inviting having the pop star come over to her house. Like, this seemed like the most rational solution, but you kind of have to suspend your disbelief a bit.
It's just an escalating series of increasingly weird scenarios that he has to get out of.
Yeah, I saw on Letterboxd that it is a concert movie for his daughter with a drama thriller built around it, and that is ostensibly true. But it's also more vanity based, because it's not like Taylor Swift who actually draws the crowd and then they take the video. This is his daughter, and she has released an album. From what I saw, it didn't really get any chart attention or anything, but, you know, M. Night's paying for her to get a living. And I will admit that the whole movie's pretty much scored by her music, and she's not like some awful pop star. It sounds like generic pop music to me that I could easily hear on the radio. If I didn't know it was M. Night's daughter, I wouldn't have suspected it wasn't just some pop singer. So, good on her, but her acting, like everybody in this movie, is fucking terrible. M. Night has a way of...
Our lead carries.
Yeah, he has some stilted shit in there. There's a lot of
But he's supposed to be stilted and weird.
Yeah, okay, fine. So there's an excuse for why he's not a very good actor in the movie.
I think he's pretty good. I think
there were some weird moments with him. But I mean, I think part of it comes down to the editing not being great, too. Like,
Yeah,
I feel like
that's a shame.
everybody's dialogue trails on slightly too long or slightly too short. Like, there's points where there's dialogue between characters, and not even just the psycho butcher guy, who, I mean, we follow most of the time. Most interactions are his. But there's, like, weird, like, half-second pauses that don't happen in real conversation. That's a little stilted and occasionally made it sort of funny.
Yeah, it's just a Shyamalan thing.
The setup is very contrived.
Yep.
Like, this is the best possible way, but you do kind of... It is sort of an interesting idea how they set it up, like, especially with, I think, concert films and stuff being so popular, kind of making a thriller based around, like, that Taylor Swift or Billie Eilish, whoever famous pop star, concert experience of a bunch of little girls screaming and having a great time and trying to enjoy their day. Well, a serial killer who has a teenage daughter who's just having the time of her life. He's trying to, like, find escape plans and is acting all weird. It's interesting.
It's like a reverse heist movie where he's trying to get out of somewhere and the plan keeps changing. It's basically like the format of a heist movie.
Yeah, it is basically a reverse heist movie until it finally crescendos with him basically holding a hostage and saying that M. Night's daughter is going to be responsible for the death of a guy unless blah blah blah. And then there it becomes more of a straight thriller and more of a family drama as the rest of the butcher's family is introduced beyond his daughter.
I don't love the third act.
No, it's meh. I mean, it's fine. It continues to be fine. I think the movie's like front to end fine. I think the first two acts are superior when he's in. I mean, I guess the second act kind of ends with him being outed as the butcher, and then there's that kind of third act. And I think everything up to there is very suspenseful and actually not terribly done. It's definitely M. Night Shyamalan's version of like Dial M for Murder or something, where it's just a weird like Hitchcockian, you know who the killer is.
The third act is like weirdly psycho adjacent.
Yeah, it's like a mix of thriller and
he's defeated with the Friday the 13th 2 method.
Yeah, he is. At one point, he's sedated because the pop star pretends to be his mother, and the ploy works. And then again, the actual mother shows up, or someone impersonating the mother.
It's the FBI lady.
Oh yeah. Well, regardless, they do the Friday the 13th Part 2, which as a fan of those movies, I'm like, they're doing the fucking Friday the 13th Part 2. What the fuck? But yeah, no, my girlfriend watches a lot of Criminal Minds, and them saying like the what the fuck's that? The unidentified or something or whatever. I think it's an actual thing they do to like not give notoriety to the killer, even though the news will just pick it up later and whatever. But they were using like Criminal Minds terms, and even though it's reversed almost where it's 10% police and 90% killer, where Criminal Minds is 90% police and 10% killer. Yeah. Criminal Minds is a cringe Kino TV show. It's not good at all, but it's like just the craziest melodrama.
Yeah.
And all of the characters, you have to up the ante, so it'll be like, Robert, you're an incest baby. And then he cries, and then he's like, and my dad's a serial killer. And it's like, of course he fucking is. Of course he fucking is. And they fly around on their private jet. You know what show ripped off Criminal Minds? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Total rip-off of Criminal Minds, except with a superhero reskin.
Yeah,
100%. They fly around on a jet. It's just a bunch of fucking guys. And then they're all, like, more integral to the plot than they first let on, because, like, season 5, someone reveals they're, like, a serial killer's incest baby or something. Like, Criminal Minds is a wacky fucking show, and much like that, you kind of get, like, the killer's angle a little bit, and the police view, but it's kind of a reversed, like, it feels like a 2-part Criminal Minds special. Down to the subpar acting and kind of B-list nobody actors that, I mean, our main character, fake Carl Urban from Star Trek, is the most well-known actor in the film, and the lady that looks like what's her face from The Good Place, Kristen Dunst.
That's what's her name?
Shallow Eyes or Deep Eyes.
Yeah, the shell.
Crater Eyes. Crater Eyes from the Good Place. I would assume it might actually be like her cousin or something. No, it's not. She's just also Crater
Allison
Eyes.
Pill.
Allison Pill
From Weird Shit.
Yeah.
And the serial killer guy was the little kid in Halloween H2O.
Yeah, so I mean it's
Hey Jake.
It's a bunch of B actors in essentially a vanity film to try to boost M. Night's daughter's music career, because there's an OST that's 100% scored by her. She's not bad as a musician. She sounds like generic pop star lady. I'm sure she's very nice.
She's
and
a good singer.
I guess, like, you know, M. Night was like, I'm going to make a slightly entertaining episode of Criminal Minds and base it around my daughter's music career so I can try to boost her music career and make a movie out of it too. He tried to do the old twofer. And I mean, I think the only problem with his daughter is that she's not white, so they're not going to sell her. That's like the main thing you got to be as a pop star, unless you're a Rihanna or Beyonce type, which is like bad bitch type. I don't know if the world is ready for an Indian pop star that sings like a white girl.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a racist way. I'm saying like the music industry isn't gonna buy what M. Night's selling. But I mean, to me, she sounds like any like Olivia Rodrigo or Taylor Swift. Like, I don't fucking care.
Good.
I guess that was bad because the music industry's also embraced Latinos, but I don't think. I'm digging myself into a hole here, but you know what I mean. I'm saying they're bad, not me. Goddamn music industry. Sign M. Night Shyamalan's daughter to like Hollywood Records, but owned by Disney, and she could be co-label mates with the ICP, and they could sing songs with her.
Yeah.
Have you seen that clip of ICP where they're
No.
it's Earth, Science, Earth, Wind, Fire, and Dirt. Fucking magnets. How do they work?
Oh, I've listened to the Magnets song. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I know Magnets.
But ICP is signed to Hollywood Records since the start, and that's owned by Walt Disney Company, which is something I find kind of funny. And they also, like, I think, like, Olivia Rodrigo and a bunch of other people are signed there. It's like a very vast record label with all sorts of people, but the fact that technically ICP, my favorite Disney princess, that's something. But anyways, you know, M. Night, what I gathered from it is M. Night, I think M. Night's kind of left his I think the best thing about it is that M. Night left his M. Nightisms at the door and decided he was going to rip off Alfred Hitchcock in a vanity film for his daughter, who's actually like an okay singer. So, is it great? No, but it's a unique setting and was a surprisingly decent time, and it's not like a headache like some of M. Night's movies, like Old. And I don't think it's actually legitimately good like Trap. It's somewhere in the middle, and I hope M. Night just kind of makes weird B movies in the future and kind of leaves his pretensions at the door, because the more pretentious M. Night tries to be, the worse his movies are. So a little stupid vanity picture for his daughter, trying to get her a better music career with the interesting setting and this and that. I don't know. It was fun. I had a fun time, even though it's not very good. So Aiden, what are your thoughts on Trap?
I liked Trap. I thought it was fun. The first 2/3 anyway. I think I'm like the closest M. Night Shyamalan has to a fan, in that I find him interesting and watch all his movies, and I recognize that they're a coin flip, but I'm a little more generous.
Yeah.
On his movies. I find them amusing and interesting. I found this one a lot of fun, actually. The first 2/3, like all the stuff at the concert when he's trying to find his way out and he's like going through all these different plans and they backfire, so he has to make a contingency. It's like this weird reverse heist movie that I found really like entertaining, and it's like the setting is really unique, and he's kind of forced to bounce back and forth between his escape plan and his daughter, and it's like anxious.
It's like the way they shoot it is like a 2-date sitcom episode.
Yeah,
that's how it is.
Yeah, it's like
except
an episode.
one date is trying to escape from a Taylor Swift concert, and the other one is enjoying the Taylor Swift concert with your daughter.
Yeah, it's like an episode of Seinfeld where Jerry goes on a date with 2 girls at the same time, and he's like, "I'm double booked." And he has to like keep running between the Italian restaurant and the fucking Greek restaurant.
No, it's 2 tables at the Italian restaurant. He has to I dropped my napkin, and then he pops up at the other table right behind him, you know?
He wore different outfits for both, so he has to keep switching outfits.
And then like whatever his fucking face, Gary or the fat guy.
It's like
he's in the bathroom. Kramer's saying the N-word in the corner.
I think this one is intentionally funny. I think this is an intentionally like kind of dark comedy at times.
Yeah.
Where it's like, obviously the main character is a terrible serial killer, and he keeps getting put in these increasingly absurd situations that he has to work his way out of and keep like improvising to find new ways to escape. It gets like increasingly weird and silly, and I found it really amusing.
This is real Darth. Fake Darth is in the bedroom. It's a long story.
Yeah, it's a long story.
There are now 2 Darths.
Yeah, it's really unique and fun, and it keeps heightening the anxiety. Like, even though the character's obviously the villain, you kind of feel anxious for him because the tension is built up in fun ways, and the scenario gets increasingly weird.
There's also a level of, even after he's caught at the end and you kind of have the dramatic thing, like he breaks out again and he starts laughing. And
yeah.
I don't think it's really
like,
setting up a sequel, because M. Night's not really huge on sequels.
No, he's only ever made
I think it was more just like the whole movie felt kind of...
I think it was supposed to be more like a Hitchcock thing where like he winks at the camera, and...
I also think it was just M. Night being slightly tongue-in-cheek. Like, it doesn't matter, it's just supposed to be dumb fun. Yeah. Weird scenario that M. Night had a dream about one night and decided, what if I also casted my daughter as the pop star?
Yeah. It does fall off once he actually gets out of the concert hall. Like, when it comes to his home, there's still a couple tense moments, but it pretty quickly escalates to like the 3rd act, and there's still some really funny moments.
Yeah. And
stuff, like he disguises himself as her limo driver and drives her around, and then
he escapes like 5 times.
They keep catching him and he keeps escaping. Like,
they're like, he can't get away now.
He's in the house and they surround the house, and they're like, there's a tunnel that goes to the neighbor's house. And then he snuck past them, disguised himself as a limo driver.
Hijacks
the limo and drives the pop star away. And then they get surrounded by fans. And somehow, after getting surrounded, he slips out, switches outfits, and sneaks into the crowd. And it's just like these increasingly silly scenarios. And I think it's supposed to be funny at times, or like a little bit cheesy, a little bit B-movie.
He feels like a really novice screenplay guy trying to like extend the movie. Like, okay, we'll add some suspense. He's taken the limo nonsensically. And then they're like, and he's surrounded again. And then he's like, fuck, I don't want the movie to end yet. And then he gets out and he switches outfits somehow. And then he's finally got, and he breaks off the handcuffs because he picked the lock. They didn't really guard him very well. No one was in the back of the police van.
He goes back to his
SWAT van.
He goes back to his house, and his wife is there, and his wife feeds him poison pie. And she's like, do you want to eat some pie before you murder me? And he's like, yeah, I guess. Like, why not? It's like, I think to some extent it's supposed to be like tongue-in-cheek and like kind of weird and funny, especially with that ending. I do think once he gets out of the concert hall, it's a lot less tense and interesting, but it's still
I think it's more bordering on legitimately good in the concert hall, even if there's some fucking like contrivances, but once he gets back in the house, it feels like a slapstick comedy from there, basically.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some kind of slapstick moments in the concert, like when he goes into the break room and there's like a SWAT meeting, and he's like greeting all the SWAT people and making coffee for them, and it's very weird. It's a very weird fucking movie, and it's definitely like a vanity picture concert movie for his daughter. It's definitely an extended episode of Criminal Minds, but it's like also amusingly corny and an interesting concept to the point that I was having fun with it.
Can we talk about the fact that they gave him a chubby black sidekick, the type of character? I'm not trying to sound like a racist, but
Michael Bay-esque.
But there is a character archetype called the chubby black sidekick. They did it in Godzilla X Kong, Transformers. They've done it so many times. Yeah, so he meets a chubby
he befriends the
African American guy who's the shirt salesman, and at one point the shirt salesman gives him a box cutter and he extends it about to kill the shirt salesman, but then he saves his daughter like one of the t-shirts for the concert,
his
so
shirt
he spares his life.
The shirt salesman is also like the biggest fan of the Butcher. He's like, I'm a huge fan of the Butcher, like my buddy happened to be there and he took pictures of the corpse before the police showed up. And he's like, that guy's so fucking cool.
The Butcher just like, he's just dick riding the Butcher to him the whole time.
He gets his Transformers-esque chubby African-American sidekick.
And then he's kind of written out once you leave the stadium, or once he gets backstage with the pop star, he's written out, but then at the end you see like later and he's like on
first
the news.
Fucking
a post-credit scene, yeah.
M. Night's first post-credit scene where he's watching the news and he's like, oh my god, I was helping that guy.
Which was actually really kind of funny. Like, I think
it's funny.
I think M. Night's just taking the piss out of everybody.
The
closest thing to his twist was like, oh, the wife already kind of knew or had suspicions, so she planted evidence, which convolutedly caused them to send 200 police officers to surround this concert and take over.
No, it's very convoluted.
Because of some shitty planted evidence.
It's very convoluted. It's very tongue-in-cheek. The scenario is unique and fun.
I mean, to do the concept, there's no way, and I could see Blumhouse making this exact same movie, but 10 times more boring, and I'm sure it's already written and ready. Like, I'm sure somewhere in the production schedule for Blumhouse is this exact movie, but more boringer. Probably starring the same actors, frankly, but it doesn't have that M. Night cheese, and it's going to take itself way too seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
For once, it's M. Night that saves the movie, because only M. Night could have such shitty directing, fucking cheesy. Because M. Night has he got really lucky on his first movie, and then he never grew out of like pretentious first screenplay by a film student who would give up and work as a server at the Applebee's.
Yeah, but that's the
thing is, some guy keeps paying for M. Night to make movies, his miracle donor, and the miracle donor is like, okay, what's the pitch, M. Night? And he's like, okay, I'm not gonna tell you the twist because I know you like seeing that part. And the guy like hugs him. He's like, M. Night, you fucking slut. And then he's like, okay, so there's a guy, and he's a killer, and he's at a Taylor Swift concert. The guy's like, done. Here's $200 million, bro. Like I think M. Night made one good movie, or one movie that was a basically luck of the draw. That was like, Sixth Sense, and since then
he's like stumbled into 3 or 4 good movies.
I think he has a billionaire benefactor that is basically a college dorm room buddy. And and to this day he's like, bro, I got the dopest screenplay, man.
Shyamalan's a nice guy. He's
the French Montana of
French Montana movies. He's got the best hot tub. He's a nice guy.
He's like, come over, sit in the hot tub. My daughter will sing some songs because that's gonna be important to the plot. And the guy's like, I like where this is going.
So anyway, I have a new pitch for a movie for you. These people go to the beach and then they start getting old. Done. Sold.
He's like,
sold.
He's like, I'm gonna look you in the eyes, and I have not said this before. And I've said this every project you've given me since The Sixth Sense, and I've never meant it till now. That is your best idea since The Sixth Sense. And he's like, thank you. And when he's like, Taylor Swift concert, but murderer is on the loose. And the guy's like, best idea since the Sixth Sense, dog.
The murderer is the protagonist, and you root for him.
He's like, before I give you this $200 million check, I want to take you out to the Olive Garden. We'll take a dip in your infinity pool out back. It'll be a good night. You know, they have champagne and they end the night cuddling on a fucking rose petals.
But yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. I think the premise is fun and it's cheeky and goofy and silly, and I had a good time with it. I thought it was a lot of fun actually. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, it's just a fun, weird M. Night Shyamalan ass movie. So Connor, would you recommend Trap?
I'm gonna give this movie a resounding why the fuck not, and an awesome tacular. Would you, in your opinion, was this movie or wasn't this movie awesome tacular?
It was awesome tacular. I'm giving it a big recommend. I think this is the other side of the spectrum of Shyamalan from Knock at the Cabin, and I'm here for it. I loved it. I thought it was really fun.
And I think, I feel like anything also these days gets bonus points for not being very generic and safe. Like, because what was the movie we did, like, right with Deadpool and Wolverine? We're like, oh, this is kind of good because it's not generic and safe. Twisters. We gave Twisters a good score. That movie was cunty as hell. I've started learning some of the TikTok lingo, and in my opinion, Twisters and Trap are two of the cuntiest movies of 2024.
Yeah, they're crispy, as they would say in this movie, which I
don't think that's
I've never
a thing.
heard
I've never
anyone say
heard crispy in my life. Anyways, we'll catch you guys next time with our 350th episode of Drunkview. Borderlands. Fun game. The first one
Written
was
by Alan Smith.
The first one's the only game I've ever beaten.
Directed by Alan Smith.
I beat Borderlands. I know we tried to beat Borderlands 2, and then Mom watched us play, and I almost got in trouble, dodged the bullet there, but that's a story for another day. Awesome-tacular.
Yeah, that's a story for next week.
That's a story for next week. Chime in down below if you want to hear Aiden's story of Borderlands.
It's not too late for them to say that Borderlands was directed by Alan Smithy.
Not too late for them to cancel it, dude.
It's technically not too late to cancel Borderlands.
They'll be like, we're very sorry to all of our fans looking forward to this movie, but the tax write-off was going to make us more money. We called in an expert. We know he doesn't work at Lionsgate? Or whoever decided to fund this movie. Like, we called in David Zasloff, and he said, don't put this out. Here's what you do. You fucking write that right off your taxes, and you're
gonna make so much fucking money if this never comes out.